Hey YouTubers, Steven here. Okay, we're going to make a video today. I'm going to show you how to change the oil in a 2002 Dodge Caravan Sport. There's lots of videos out there on how to change your oil. I just thought I'd throw my video into the mix because there's no such thing as too much information. So, you know, sometimes if I'm looking at something and I'm doing some research on how to do something, I don't just watch one video. I try and watch all the videos that I can, and because everybody usually has a slightly different spin on how they do things. And heck, if you're on YouTube, you like watching videos, and well, I enjoy making videos. So come along with me. I'm going to get the van up on the ramps and I'm going to show you how easy it is. We got a big white bucket to catch all the oil. We're going to put our wrench up here. We're going to give it a little tap. It should just come off easily, just like that. Somebody really reamed this one on. Now it's very important, okay, when you screw this off, you want to have your bucket in place to catch the oil, but you don't want to let your nut go, or your hand's going to be going looking for your oil plug. And take a number of turns. And this is probably the stiffest oil plug I've ever done. There we go. We're just going to unscrew it off. Holy doodles. There we go. Now it's nice and smooth. We're going to hold our bucket up just a little bit to make sure we catch all the oil, because we don't want this draining out into our yard, driveway. And if it's windy, you definitely want to keep an eye on it. Now that we have our oil plug out, we're just going to wipe the old oil off it. And then just let the oil drain. You're going to come over to the van. Now the next step, okay, while the oil is draining, we're going to take our oil cap off. This way, it lets the air in and helps drain the oil out of the system. We'll leave this for a few minutes before we take off our oil filter. Alright, so our oil is pretty much drained out now. So we're going to put our oil plug back in. And we'll wipe some of this oil off our hands. We'll move our bucket out of the way. Give it a little wipe. And we're going to wrench it on. And you just want the bolt snug. You don't want to ream right onto it, you just want it snug. Now the next part is kind of the messy part, is the oil filter. Now in my particular van, the oil filter's right here. I know on the newer Caravans it actually mounts right into the block. You can buy oil wrenches for these. I've got fairly large hands, so these come off pretty easy for me. And basically you just grab a hold of it and twist it off. Make sure you have your bucket in place, because the oil will leak down from here. And be ready to move the bucket as it comes down. And these things are full of oil and very slippery. And we'll just slowly unscrew it, because we don't want to drop it. There we go. And we'll just let that go down into our bucket. And of course, oil rag, wipe our hands off. Probably be easier if I wore gloves, but I don't mind getting my hands a little dirty. And then with our rag, we just want to wipe all up around the top. so that it's all clean. We don't want any dirt up on our where our oil filter mounts. Alright, and there still may be a little oil, so we're just going to put our bucket underneath. We'll move on to our next step. Okay, so the next step, we're going to take our oil filter, we're going to take our oil, and we're just going to pour a little bit on the top. This is a little more than a little bit. Just take your finger and run it around the seal. Okay, and that way when we put this on, it's going to help make a good seal up to where it mounts. So now we're going to crawl back underneath the van and we're going to put this on. So we're just going to give this another little wipe. So we don't want the old oil there and we don't want any dirt. We're going to take our oil filter, turn it a couple times to the left just so that we get it threaded right. And for some reason I'm not looking properly. There we go. Spin her up. And then once it gets semi-tight or snug, if you're using a wrench, you have to be very careful that you don't over tighten this. But with your hands, you just want to give it about a quarter of a turn so that it's nice and snug. Now, all we're going to do is put the oil in. So let's go back up top. Alright, so our final step is to put our new oil back into the engine. If you don't have a funnel, there you go. Poor man's funnel, right here. Just take a 2-liter pop bottle, cut the bottom off it, make sure you rinse it. You don't want any, the pop getting into your oil. So we're just going to put it in our oil fill. We're going to take our jug of oil and we're just going to fill it up. Okay. Alright, so we've got all the oil in. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put our container down. We're going to take our funnel out. Make sure we put a rag underneath of it because we don't want the oil dripping. Don't forget to put your oil cap back on. When I was growing up, high school, working in garages, you wouldn't believe how many cars I checked their oil and they were missing the cap because you put oil in it. Just turn it to 1 click, and then what we're going to do, turn your car on. Let it run for about 30 seconds or so. That way it gets the oil going through the oil filter and through the system. It's a good time to take your van off the ramps and then make sure that your oil is at the level where it should be. Top it up if not. And it's also a good time just before you take it off the ramps, when your engine's running, just have a look underneath. Make sure that there's no oil coming out from the oil filter. There's no oil draining out from where your oil plug is, because you just don't want to be putting oil out in the environment. That's just not cool. And with the used motor oil, I was waiting for that question to come up. This is what you do. I know my caravan takes the whole jug. I'm going to take my funnel and stick it in there, and then the old motor oil I'm just going to pour in, and then I'm going to take it to one of my local service stations. They take the used motor oil. We also have hazardous waste depots that will take the used motor oil and old paints and stuff. And you definitely don't want to just let the oil filter drop in there. So we're just going to take the oil filter out. We're just going to lay it in there just like that, so that we drain all the oil out of that filter. And the service stations will also take that because that's got a lot of nasty stuff in it. So thanks for watching. Regular maintenance really is just this easy. All we used today was a 13mm wrench. Got a little dirty, but you know, getting dirty sometimes can be fun. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for our next video.